For this moment,
Madam Callas.
you're getting to know her. She's not comfortable, but she's sitting in her life and knowing herself.
My name is Mandrax. I'd like to walk with you through your life.
I just think it's very clever the way it's directed and the way it's written. So it was a pleasure to do this.
A handsome interrogator always gets the most honest answers.
She kind of plays this role that we discussed a lot with everyone, specifically with Angie, because there's a lot of footage of Maria Callas doing interviews. So there's like a different angle of her personality while she's being filmed.
Should I call you Maria or La Callas?
Either is perfectly fine.
I prefer La Callas.
Then that is perfectly fine.
Unless, of course, you feel you're a victim of that identity.
I wanted this to be like a real interview, but also a consultation with a narcotic. And obviously, Cody's so good. And as you can see, Angelina's so calm and it's also in control. When, of course, you know that what we're actually seeing is someone who is not in control because the drug is in control.
So much has been written about me. Many unfair things. Stories that are pure fabrication.
You know, I look at this scene and I see that the apartment that was built that says so much about who she is, the wardrobe I'm wearing that talks of a woman who has lived a certain life.
Shall we sit?
From a certain part of the world even, and what she's seen or what she's collected over her life.
Rolling?
I see the hint of a makeup that was very different in her youth or on stage.
I am quite rebellious by nature.
And her grays in her hair. So I think I look at this as someone who's just sitting in this moment of her life, reflecting on her life. And I think this tool is so wonderful so she can say these things that are very true to the woman that we came to know.
I heard a story once that you burned all your dresses.
What dresses?
Your old theater costumes.
That is true. Bravo. This will be worthwhile.
It was actually really difficult, probably the hardest accent I've ever done, because it's not really a particular accent. There is a sound and a way she speaks that sometimes adapts. You see a lot of people from that time, a lot of artists and actors who do interviews from that particular time where there's a very presented voice.
I burned my dresses before I left Milan.
May I ask why?
No, you may not.
And I really couldn't find it until I realized that she speaks how she sings.
Then when did you last perform on stage?
You really should be more persistent with your questions. I burnt my theater dresses because they were a part of the past.
So I actually did work with my opera coach to find her voice.
And to answer your less interesting question, I last performed 4.5 years ago because performing on stage is also a part of the past.
Obviously, for the scene, we needed to try and make every room quite distinctive and different because we spend quite a lot of time here. So as we're moving around the apartment, once every single space is established, like the kitchen here, for example, it's nice that the audience, on returning to that space, they'll know relatively where it is geographically to the other spaces. We were quite lucky in the sense that, you know, our footprint or our floor plan for the space had a nice circular movement to it, which I think Pablo and Ed staged it beautifully, I think, in terms of the movement and being able to tell the story with these pictures.
You'll never perform again?
No.
What I found really interesting was, and in the beginning I questioned it with Pablo, is we're seeing the documentary crew and it's one element, but it's also her projection of what is happening to her. And that he made the choice to do handhold watching the documentary crew. But because it's her mind, it works really well. Every time I see the film, I understand why it works so well, is because it's not like a formalistic look of what's happening to her and the situation.
Then tell me how it felt to be on stage.
An exaltation, an intoxication. Sometimes I thought the stage itself would burn.
And on the bad days?
Well, there are two sides. One side says, to fight. And the other says you are awful and you should be ashamed.
This was on the 6th floor. I've never had so many lights. I had to have a light in every window to try to recreate the kind of light that would be in Paris. And it isn't like beautiful sunlight streaming in. It's kind of a muted light, because Pablo and I were also trying to reference films that could have been shot in the 70s. And so that was something that was always important to me, is that I tried to illustrate a language of the images that could have been from that period to situate her world. So there's black and white in her past, and then there's Super 8, and when she has a more personal relationship with the people around her, and then 16 millimeter that's shot here.
I'm afraid audiences expect miracles. I can no longer perform miracles.
So for the makeup, I feel this whole movie was very fluent. It follows along the different phases of her life and the different moods. So in 77, we had this at-home look, and then we had more like an outgoing look. And then accordingly to that darker outfit, the eye makeup is a bit more of a statement, and then a bit of a contrast in the color of the lids, but something that's barely there. And it just felt like it was more of a statement. So when she's going out, she's doing her makeup, and she remembers the past and the times where she wore her makeup. And it feels that confidence is reflected.
And perhaps we could speak a little of your life away from the stage.
There is no life away from the stage. The stage is in my mind.
Bringing together Angelina and Maria was a challenge, in the sense that you don't want to put a mask on Angelina. Even if we could have gone for more liner, more brows, we didn't really want to put Angelina in a mask. And it had to be something that brings the two together, and we don't lose Angelina.
I have to go.
Go?
Yes.
No, we'll promise 3 hours.
Then come with me.
Come with you where?
Come with me, said the diva, and there was really no need to ask where.
Then I will come with you wherever you're going.
Angelina and I, when we were talking about it and when we were doing the fitting for the wigs, we changed the hairline, dropped the hairline, and we talked about the color quite a bit. But, just wanted to show what Maria looked like at this stage in her life, but also just keep it soft and pretty.
Walk with me across Paris. My butler says that Hendrix is a very unreliable companion, but I think we're a perfect combination.
Sì, questo è uno degli outfit che lei usa per uscire fuori casa. Io insieme a Pablo abbiamo deciso che il nero dovesse essere un po' il suo colore nell'abbigliamento. Ho usato vari neri, non è un nero solo, per creare dei piani attraverso lo schermo per non risultare piatti i costumi. E lei nella vita privata, appunto, in casa indossa colori molto chiari perché è come se fosse il suo paradiso, il suo nido, mentre fuori l'abbiamo tenuta sempre vestita di nero perché raccontavamo solo una settimana di vita della diva e quindi comunque non aveva molti cambi. Però io l'ho immaginata un po' come se lei assistesse attraverso questi ricordi con Hendrix un po' al quello che sarebbe un po' stato il suo funerale.
This is a character scene, and everything we see, the set, the lighting, the wardrobe, the makeup, the hair, everything becomes an extension of the character's mind. And that's how we get to know her. This is a scene that is essential for the structure of the film, not only because of what it's telling, but it's building a character through what she sees. So she's what she's doing, but also becomes a mirror of the reality that is around her.
You see? When I'm with you and your camera, Hendrix, I don't have to perform because everyone else is performing.
So we want to see the reality through her eyes, and this scene has that purpose as well.
You're on time.
My audience awaits, full of hate.
What hate?
I'm going to sing the mad scene from Anna Bolena.
This is a crucial scene for the film. It's kind of like somehow the beginning of the end of the story. And it's a scene where she decides to sing a very specific scene from an opera called Anna Bolena, and this is the mad scene. So in this rehearsal that it's in the Dresden in 1977, we intercut to the past, to 1957, to La Scala, where she famously performed that role.
I performed it at La Scala.
1957.
Yes, the people of Milan hated me. I had cancelled. I was sick. They never forgave me. And I spilt my venom across the poor innocents.
But then you sang.
Then I sang, full of fury at the press, fury at the judgment, my mother, the world. Bruna, now, begin.
And it's very interesting because there's obviously people that is actually recording what she's saying and singing for the purpose of a mean kind of media journalist move. And at the same time, she's doing her best to sing it. So the audience can understand that her voice, it's very broken in the present and can compare how it was when she was at her prime.
Lights, please.
We really created an opera. So for me, I always feel the camera is the audience. The way Pablo made choices to shoot with wider lenses. So you're seeing more of the set than just a part of. And I think that's very important to situate the audience that you're in this experience, that you're feeling her character as maybe she feels in that environment.
The fact that Angelina learned to sing so well is madness, really. I mean, to just do that and then be able to pursue Maria through the voice. Angelina really got that straight away.
I did 7 months of training before we started, and then through the piece, through the filming, I had a piano with me everywhere I went, and my opera coach, and Pablo was very understanding and supportive of really helping me feel and treat me like a singer. And we'd have our breaks, and one of these things was that we would, in between the performances, we would grow towards La Scala. That was not, it was towards the end of production, and it was the one that was kind of hanging over, not only because it's there, but it's also a very complicated piece of music. One of the more difficult arias, and my favorite.
It was very moving and at the same time scary to shoot at La Scala, which is an iconic, essential opera house for opera. We only had 4 hours to film in there in La Scala. And so we planned it really well, and then obviously Angelina did something very spectacular and beautiful and moving while being able to sing it in both cases.
The hardest part for me was that these were massive areas to go in to shoot in La Scala. I had 4 hours, and most of that time had to be used to film. So the solution was I worked with the lighting crew and the lighting director on the stage, and my film crew that we brought from Hungary did the audience in the auditorium. And that was the only way I could get through it, because the lighting crew in La Scala would know their lighting better than anybody. So that really worked out. In 45 minutes, we were up and shooting.
This is a very, very unique space. Nobody had ever shot there before. Obviously, one of the challenges with the overall production design is negotiating and making sure we can get into places that maybe haven't had the opportunity to be seen before. For the scene, we needed to have somebody hiding up in the control room, the lighting control room, which of course the Music Academy doesn't have, because technically that's only a stage for live performances.
Ho potuto vedere alcuni dal vivo ed altri attraverso la documentazione. Io poi sono un maniaco dei dettagli e quindi ho voluto pedissequamente ricrearli. Ho ricevuto i complimenti dalla Scala perché loro hanno l'abito originale di Anna Bolena e è stato molto difficile ritrovare i blu uguali. Io volevo veramente che fosse lo stesso blu sia del velluto che del raso.
For the makeup, I highlight some of the difference between the 1977 look and then the Anna Bolena look. So I would say in general, it was all about the placement of highlights and lowlights and the shading and the contouring. And especially for the young look, it was all about making the skin really radiant and deeply hydrated.
Her memories create a friction in between both of them up until the very end of the scene when she says for the first and only time and the last time in the film the word God. What we did is in my office, we put the script in the walls in order. And then with Guy, we just filled it with images, locations, references. And then Massimo came in and brought some, ideas for wardrobe, and same Pamela and Drew, and then Ed as well. And then it becomes like a mural in order to try to imagine what this could become.
Mother, you are magnificent.
So this is a scene that stays in my memory as something that I just would never forget.